Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us in Chats Between Friends. My name is Marisol. I am a caseworker at LCH.
Hi, my name is Maria Diodane, and I'm the bilingual lab advocate at the Domestic Violence Center of Chester County.
This month, we are talking a little bit more about Domestic Violence Awareness Month since it's October. And purple is the color, right, Maria?
Yeah, I'm glad I see you purple too.
Okay. So Maria, what is domestic violence? Why do we have this month dedicated to domestic violence?
So domestic violence is the pattern of abuse. And I think that it's really, really important that we have this month of awareness because people don't realize that there's so many stigmas and misconceptions surrounding domestic violence. A lot of people are under the impression that domestic violence is only physical. The abuse only counts when it's physical, and that's far from the truth. There's mental, there's emotional, there's financial abuse, just to name a few things that are involved with domestic violence. And I think that it's really important for everybody to understand that. And so that's why we have this month of October coming up to raise awareness and to make others aware of what's really going on and what that really truly means.
I've also heard people think that domestic violence only happens to poor people or people who don't go to college, they're not educated, no rich person goes through domestic violence, What do you think about that?
It's really sad, Marisol. It's so sad when I hear those things because it has no barriers. There's no economic barriers. There's no society barriers. There's nothing surrounding domestic violence. It can happen to literally anyone, and nobody really truly knows what happens behind closed doors. And I think that that's really important to remember and to bring up as we're celebrating this month as well, that it can literally happen to anybody.
Even to the LGBT community, right?
Yes, especially within our LGBT community.
Yes. And Maria, would you say that domestic violence episodes or everybody reports domestic violence? Are we always calling the cops and they're always coming to our house trying to be the middleman in a dispute of the husband and wife?
Yeah.
Or
that's a really good question.
is it like do we have our police station always busy coming to our houses because of domestic violence?
So domestic violence calls are actually one of the most dangerous calls for a law enforcement officer to report to, and they're actually super underreported. A lot of the time, people don't want to get the cops involved. They don't want to see their loved one get arrested or face criminal charges, or potentially them using that to gaslight and further abuse them and blackmail them with that. And so it's really unfortunate because it doesn't go reported and then law enforcement doesn't get involved. They don't want people in their business. They want to keep their business to themselves, and what happens at home stays at home. And it's kind of this unspoken thing that goes on. And then they usually, if there's children in the home, they instruct them to do the same thing.
Right.
It's really, really sad.
It's really sad. Yeah. Well, a fact that I've heard is that 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence during their lifetime. Is that true?
Yes, it's absolutely true. And I wouldn't be surprised if that statistic is actually bigger than 25%. 25% of all women. And that is abuse across the board. And that includes
1 in every 4. Like,
crazy to think, isn't it?
And you make 2, It's like 2 more. It's like 1 yeah.
It's crazy. And I'm a survivor myself, and I there's so much that goes into it, but there's so much empowerment when you can tell your story. There's so much beauty to that. And so that's what we want to encourage as well, alongside our survivors, because I don't like to call our survivors victims. Our survivors, there's a lot of beauty that comes from telling your story and being empowered to do so and sharing how you overcame that, because other women need that encouragement to see that they can too.
Something else that I thought it was shocking to me is to know that every 9 seconds in the U.S., there is a woman that is going through domestic violence, that is getting bitten by someone else. I think that's really bad.
That's a horrible statistic.
Yeah.
I don't even think I've heard that, but I'm not surprised, but at the same time, it's like shocking to hear, like one every 9 seconds is crazy. That's great. And then the other thing too that I think people don't speak about often is that men are also victims of domestic violence. They're also survivors of domestic violence. And it's not something that's often spoken about, even more so in the male community. And it's unfortunate and it's really sad because of the world we live in our society and toxic masculinity, which is a whole nother thing. But it's really unfortunate that that's the reality.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate. Do you know anything that how can we raise awareness about domestic violence? How can we get it out to our community? How can we encourage victims to report domestic violence?
So that's a great question. Number one, first and foremost, please rock your purple. It is the month of October coming up, and we highly support that and tag DVCCC, tag LCH to show that you're rocking your purple. We love to have everybody come alongside and support our Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we would love to see that. That's one. Secondly, you can share our videos on social media. That's going to be huge. You can do it through Facebook, Instagram. We even have TikTok. So making sure that you're sharing those videos because you never know who's seeing them and you never know who's going through violence themselves or know somebody. Within a month of me getting hired in my job, 2 of my friends opened up to me and shared that they had also been victims, and one actually tried to get me to help with a referral over to our center because of that. And I would have never, ever guessed in a million years. So there is no stereotype of a victim or of an abuser. You just never know. So please feel free to share, wear your purple and have conversations, have these difficult conversations of domestic violence. It's not an easy topic to bring up, but it is one that is very, very, very important to have.
I know LCH will be playing domestic violence videos in our waiting areas. We're going to be putting out the information on how to contact the organization. We are going to rock our purple all month long. And we are going to continue to work closely with DVCCC to try to end domestic violence.
I appreciate that, Marisol. Also, before I forget to, I know that around the town, they're going to have purple ribbons. So if you see them, don't hesitate to take a picture, send them to us, shoot them our way, just so that we are raising awareness, because it makes people curious, like, why do you have purple, or why is that purple ribbon? What does that mean? And then that in itself is a conversation opener for you to start talking about domestic violence.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, we're all going to wear purple this month. And is there anything that the community can do to help to raise awareness for domestic violence?
I think just even asking.
Besides wearing purple, right?
Yeah, definitely rocking the purple. But I think asking those questions, asking what you don't know, hitting us up on our social media, sharing information, because it does go a long way. There's so much stigma, and I'll be very honest, like even for myself, I wasn't even aware of certain things that are considered violence or domestic violence within a relationship until it hit close to home, when one of my best friends experienced a horrible relationship that was violent. And that to me really showed me like, wow, this is real. This really happens. And it's not just in movies. And I think that reality hit home for me, and it made it personal. And I hated that. And I'm glad that she's out of it. But it really did make it personal for me. And so just asking questions, asking what you don't know, asking for information, that'll go a long way. You just never know.
Yeah, and domestic violence doesn't only happen to a husband and wife, right? It can also happen in relationships. Like, you don't have to be married to be experiencing domestic violence.
Yes.
You can be experiencing domestic violence with boyfriends, girlfriends. You can be a teenager and be experiencing domestic violence, right, Maria?
Yes, manipulation, gaslighting, all of it. And it's super sad to see, but it's very important to know what those things mean. And that's part of what we do. We educate so that our community is aware and that we can strengthen and be more empowered in that all together, so that we can grow and learn together and we can ultimately end domestic violence.
Well, Thank you, everybody, for joining our chat today. Domestic Violence Awareness Month is a change for everyone and everyone to unite in the work and end domestic violence. We invite and advocate loved ones, supporters, and political leaders to join together in solidarity to listen to and uplift survivors directly. With so many people speaking in a on-field voice throughout October, we can raise our collective awareness about domestic violence to end abuse for good.
Thank you so much, Marisol.
Thank you, everybody, for joining our chat today.